責めないで消さないで負けないで誰だって持てるはず譲れないもの愛だけ夢だけ君だけそれだけは離さないどんな時でも何が欲しい何がしたいどこに行きたい闇を避けて走り抜けて掴み取れ押すさない
Hello and welcome to Aniview Solo Reviews. I'm Lyzl, and today I'm going to be reviewing Outlaw Star. So Outlaw Star was made by the studio Sunrise in 1998, it's 26 episodes long, and it's a space western science fiction series. Outlaw Star follows the adventures of Gene Starwind and his buddy and business partner, Jim Hawking. They capture a powerful prototype starship after finding a mysterious girl who seems to be able to pilot it. They name it the Outlaw Star, and as they start their space adventure, they quickly gather a crew and face off against all sorts of villainy, space piracy, and much, much more. Personally, I found Outlaw Star to be the fun version of Cowboy Bebop. It has a fun cast, and they're going on a space cowboy adventure. What more could you want? For its animation, I found that it was a little bit dated. I mean, it is from 1998 at this point. However, it makes up for it a bit at least by being very colorful and having very strong character designs. Each of the characters is very recognizable, and I found that easily I could recognize any of them at a glance, and I really liked how they were designed. Overall, though, the action scenes aren't going to win any awards, and it's definitely not to the same level as something like Cowboy Bebop would be. As for the music in Outlaw Star, I thought it was a very fun musical track. However, this isn't Bebop 2.0. It's upbeat and feels like a space western, and the OP is very good and hypes you up, but it doesn't have the intricate orchestra and lots of different songs for lots of different points throughout the series. It does overall work for the series though, and that's all you can really ask for, so I'm pretty happy with the soundtrack in Outlaw Star. Alright, so let's get right down to the story now. As sad as it is, the story is honestly about a ragtag group of space cowboys doing bounties in a ship with the same name as the anime title. I'm sure that doesn't remind you of any series out there, no way. Alright, in all seriousness though, the series is mostly episodic. It strays a bit into a continuous plot, but overall you're mostly getting these episodic episodes where the different characters are interacting in interesting ways, they're developing as characters, and there's a lot of comedy and fun mixtures to it. So it never really gets that deep with its stories, however, sometimes it pulls off some really emotional moments. I found that one of these in particular, in the first 8 episodes, was extremely well done, and that's probably what kept me going throughout the series and really enjoying it. Unfortunately, nothing like that really comes up again throughout the series, but just that moment is almost worth watching the series alone. I found that one of the better strengths of the series was actually its comedy. It's a very fun series and doesn't take itself too seriously, but always has a strong connection to its characters, and you feel like everything could be happening the way it's happening. It's not over the top silly like something like Excel Saga, but its comedy is there, and I found it really worked for the series because the characters were developing, but at the same time you were having a great time going on this space adventure with them. The action in the series is alright, but it's mostly just fun, akin to something like Trigun. It doesn't have that many sort of shonen-esque moments where you have this person with this power is going to be able to beat this person with this power by manipulating their power in this way. It doesn't really have intricate fights like that. It mostly just has fun little action moments that are just meant to progress the series or the scene that's going on, and not so much powerful within themselves. So overall, you're not really going to get into this for amazing action scenes. What I should mention though is that an interesting thing they did is that the ships themselves are, or a lot of them, are grappler ships, quote unquote. And what this means is that they have these sort of grappler arms and they sort of wrestle in space. It sounds really weird, but it actually kind of works for the series. I mean, physical-wise, it makes absolutely no sense, but for the series, it actually was a fun way to make space fights work. Alright, so let's move on to the ending of this series. The ending is alright, I'll give it that. However, they really tried to go for a very serious ending, and for a show that's all about the fun and the character development, it just didn't seem to work very well because I just wasn't wanting some crazy over-the-top philosophical ending for the series. I was just looking for a fun way to see all my sort of friends that I've made throughout the series go off on a voyage or whatever for their one last adventure, their one last bounty, or whatever it may be. In this case, they really tried to go for a big finale, and I just don't think it worked, even though it would have in many other series. So it's good, but I don't think it was appropriate for the series. Alright, so now let's get into the characters. There are a lot of characters in Outlaw Star, and a lot of them were really fun to watch. Let's start with Gene Starwin, the main character. He's outspoken, he's fun, and he even has a little bit of depth to him, which is pretty cool. Overall, his impulsive nature is what really makes the series work, because he's always the one pushing them onto these adventures, doing crazy things. He's the one that stole the Outlaw Star in the first place, so overall, he's just a really strong main character, and his overall determination and he actually has bits of depth throughout the series where you find out he has a bit of a fear of space flight and why he does, and overall I actually thought he was a pretty cool main character. Next we have Jim Hawking, who is Gene's partner in crime and the brains of the whole operation. He's the one that really keeps the group together. He's the one that keeps their financial situation intact, and he's the one that makes sure everything goes smoothly. Without his plans, I don't think the crew would have worked really well, because most of them are so impulsive and so much doing their own thing that they wouldn't actually get anything done. Rounding out the crew as the series goes on, we have Suzuka, an assassin with a wooden katana, and a Katarl, or rather Catgirl princess, who gets wrapped up into the mix. We even have a hilarious onboard computer character and a bio-android that becomes big members of the story. All of these are well done and unique, and each have their own memorable moments. I love them all by the end of the show, each for their own reasons. The series even has some really cool reoccurring villains in the McDougal brothers. Both of them have really cool and distinct personalities, and one of them actually progresses a lot as the series goes on as a character. So overall, I was really happy about them, and they played a really key role in making the series interesting by having these cool villains that you're always looking out for, and that are actually developing as characters. There are even some really cool sidecast characters in this show, such as Fred, who is a gay entrepreneur that actually funds a lot of their operations, which they never really get to pay back. He gets to hit on Gene every time he comes around though, so I think he's pretty happy with his payment anyways. Overall, I definitely think that the cast and characters in Outlaw Star were definitely its biggest strength. I really felt connected to a lot of them, each got their time to shine, and even the sidecast really worked well for the show. So I think that's what really keeps you watching the show. Watching these amazing characters interact, have fun, and you just have a good time watching them have these crazy space adventures. Alright, so let's get down to it. I'm going to give Outlaw Star 4 out of 5 stars. This series was just so fun to watch, and even if its animation and sound aren't as top-notch as they could be, I just had a great time watching these characters interact, having a fun time with them, and I was just having a grand old time going on the space adventure with them. So, if you have any questions, comments, or requests, you can send them to aniview@hotmail.com or send us a comment on our YouTube page. You can also contact us at our forums at aniviewreviews.com. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.